Wisdomers! How are we? I'm back! Everyone, I hope everyone's going well today, right now. We've definitely seen, a lot of changes in the social media and tech world as well, which is quite interesting. The thing is about this Elon Musk buying out Twitter. Thank God for that. Has free speech returned as well? That's an interesting one, because you got to think about these tech companies. That how they're shadow banning people. And it's not cool as well how content creators like myself have experienced shadow banning and discrimination from these tech companies such as Twitter, where they have these algorithms that virtually it's like mind control at the end of the day, which I just get fed up with, I really do. And it's like, well, I just don't understand. What's going on with these tech companies. It's like, I'm such a talented young man, and it just becomes like a slap in the face, which is quite sad as well. With as a content creator. And I'm thinking, well, if Elon Musk's deal brought Twitter out, I hope for the best that he can, make changes on Twitter's behalf and, find out, okay, how we can make Twitter a better place for, the freedom of speech, as how I'm heavily interested in freedom of speech, supporting the right, wing in politics myself. But it's quite interesting how these algorithms are just virtually making you not non-existent anymore, and it does upset me, actually, to a point. That. I mean, there is a Twitter alternative that I'm using called Mastodon at the moment, and it's pretty much like a Twitter alternative if you're not interested in algorithms burying you, because it's not fair, like how you put all this hard work, time, effort, and energy in, and it's like you're non-existent, you don't exist. And it does affect people's businesses who have to heavily rely on social media as well. So we're going to see definitely it's nice to see a change on Twitter's behalf with Elon Musk. And this surprised me because I was reading this in the Sydney Morning Herald. There is a social media platform I use as well called Webtalk. That's been fantastic to monetize my content and help basically grow my following organically just by being myself on social media, because you get lot of influencers out there who basically, portray themselves to have a very glamorous lifestyle, and yet are causing depression, anxiety, as well, which is quite sad, very sad. And all they just do is just sit on Instagram and stay home and just being an influencer. For me, it's just kind of, there's kind of a lot of bullshit involved in it. The influencer lifestyle, I guess. It's like when tech companies get bought out because, like, YouTube is now owned by Google, and, clearly I do not like Google at all. I think they're bastards, to be honest. I think Facebook's now owned by Meta, as we've seen. So this will get interesting, the Twitter buyout with Elon Musk. And, I'll give a congratulations to Elon Musk for, standing up for what you believe in, freedom of speech as well. And, making a change for everyone. Because I think at the end of the day, we need change. Change is very important. Change is what can, make social media improve itself, without being shadow banned. Did a talk a couple of days ago about shadow banning on Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, Twitter. I don't know why they get to the point where they just become greedy, these tech corporations as well. Yeah, it's not cool how they do that. But let's just say, look, change is on its way. We need change in tech. Because I believe us content creators have the right to be heard, and the right for freedom of speech, but not hate speech. Hate speech or bullying is unacceptable, and yes, I agree that shit is not tolerated. But we've seen now how algorithms are virtually trying to think like a human being once was as moderators. We've seen on these tech companies, where before it was, well, the moderator had to, say, report someone, but now getting to the point where algorithms are, almost thinking like a human being. So, yeah, it's quite interesting what's going to happen with the share prices, although I'm not really involved in all the shares, but I think it was a great business strategy from Elon Musk to buy Twitter out, and good on him for that. Or the solution is use a Twitter alternative, like Mastodon is what I'm using at the moment. So these are how we can solve problems with tech companies. If there's a genius out there who's willing to create another platform that's better, then do it, Because I think at one point Twitter was dying out for some time. It was. good old jolly social media. You know that. So who knows how this strategy will go? I think this is fantastic on Elon's behalf. I think he's a very clever businessman with Tesla, SpaceX as well. I'm a huge fan of SpaceX. It was quite funny when he was on the Joe Rogan Experience, right? And he was yeah. he was he was smoking pot and smoking weed on the Joe Rogan. He was just like not even giving a shit anymore. I love Elon Musk. He's the best. He's the best. You know that. Oh, I love wisdom. Wisdom's awesome. You know that. Alright, weather right now. It's Thursday at 8:19 a.m. in the morning in Sydney, Australia. Looks cloudy out there. The weather looks shitty as well. Right now the weather is 18 degrees. They're predicting, hopefully it's going to be sunny, but if not, it'll be overcast. Rain predicted today. Top 23 degrees Celsius, lower 15 degrees Celsius. Precipitation 17%, humidity 95%, wind 0 kilometers an hour. 64 degrees Fahrenheit. A top of 73 degrees Fahrenheit and a low of 59 degrees Fahrenheit. Precipitation 17%, humidity 95%, wind 0 miles per hour as well. Yes, that's the weather that we've been having as well in beautiful, Australia. But I've noticed during the night time, I think it's been a bit humid lately for some reason. Don't know why. Could be me. Yeah. So, guys, if you're looking for alternative platform to YouTube, Rumble is highly recommended for content creators, especially who want to monetize their work straight away. I'll leave a link in the description for Rumble as well. Definitely check that out. Yes, Rumble is free to use, and there's no need to wait for the 1,000 subscribers to monetize straight away. If you're looking to create graphic design work or thumbnails for your content, album work, social media, Canva is fantastic. And that's what I use. Canva is a great graphic design platform for myself. I've pretty much used it since I've started my journey as an entrepreneur and content creator, and that's what I highly recommend is Canva as well. If you can use it, I'll put a link in the show notes as well when this podcast airs. You can follow me on Mastodon. I am on Webtalk as well. If you like the show and want to support my work, you can support me on Patreon. And you can support me with merchandise on my Redbubble store and what else? TeePublic store. Yes. If you guys are looking to write royalty-free music, and you're a composer, content creator, you want to sell your work, video stock footage, Pond 5 is free to join. I highly recommend going the royalty-free route as a content creator, because it definitely, you want to add value to your work as well, being in the royalty-free journey as a composer or a content creator, etc., etc., which is good. It's been a very good journey for myself as well. You know that. And, all you can do is just keep persisting with it. Just keep on going. That is what I think is how we should, keep living life. But which brings me to another point right now is the situation with Vladimir Putin and the war in Ukraine. Okay. And this is still ongoing problem. This is Putin's agenda to push communism across Europe as well. Now, obviously, you've seen business has been affected. Inflation has gone up, especially under Joe Biden. We've had inflation problem even under ScoMo's in Australia. Now Russia is refusing to supply gas as well, so this gets very complicated. I know that I think the Australian government is paying people to go use solar panels for climate change as well. Now, I think solar panels is a good idea, but are they 100% going to work, provide you power and electricity? And is it better to use solar panels instead of paying the electricity company, money to the electricity or gas company as well, which they're greedy bastards and they just make too much money out of you. Alright, so I can see we've got a guest waiting. I will bring you on as well. Guys, please be respectful to one another on this wonderful platform. And alright, hello.
Hello. How you doing, brother?
Yeah, good. How are you?
Great. Peace to the room. I see you got an interesting topic. Elon Musk, Twitter buyout, the freedom of speech. What do you think's going on here?
Well, I think Elon Musk has decided to buy Twitter out and for the freedom of speech as well, so people can express their right-wing views on Twitter without being shadow banned or banned from Twitter. We know that Donald Trump was banned from Twitter at the same time, although he was writing, some crazy comments. So it's an interesting one because Elon Musk is a clever businessman. We know that with SpaceX and Tesla. So it's good to have a change for Twitter, is what I think.
Yeah, Twitter was on the decline for a while as far as the bots. A lot of people suspected they were getting a lot of bot activity. They were also seeing fiduciary, irresponsible moves by the board. They're not looking at the good quarterly, and I think Elon really timed it for the first quarter to come out. And it's not looking good. And Twitter's seeing a decline. At the same time, Elon Musk bought about 9% or so of it, and then went into the negotiating phase for the rest of the 40. What that does is, if he were to pull out because you piss him off and sell off everything, not only does the quarterlies hurt your stock, now Elon sells, and because of the clause, they have $1 billion clause. Either one of them pulls out, Twitter and the board, or Elon Musk in this case, they owe each other $1 billion. So if Elon says, you know what, I'm backing out, he owes Twitter $1 billion. If Twitter says, you know what, Elon, screw you, they owe Elon $1 billion. And so what happens is they get $1 billion taxed on them, and Elon pulls out, and their quarterlies look bad. They have a responsibility to the shareholders. They were cornered into this, and I think very expertly and very necessarily, because their stock went up 20%. When everything he touches turns to gold. So now they're put in a position whether they're going to prioritize some political bias monopoly on freedom of speech, which is very childish, or they're going to prioritize the shareholders and do their job and make a successful platform that is not essentially a clubhouse room where anybody who agrees with me, can be up here and speak. And if you don't, I'll move you down, I'll mute you, and here's an echo chamber, right? Just, if you're going to do that, then declare yourself as an echo chamber. Don't play these games of, we're freedom of speech, and then all the while, you can prove that you're not.
Yeah, well, Twitter tried to do the whole social audio at the same time, and I remember during the pandemic, actually, Facebook was trying to do like rooms at the same time, but clearly they failed on that, which is, I don't know why they can't succeed on everything. Yeah, Twitter was actually on the decline, and Twitter was dying out for a while, I remember. But it's going to be interesting how Twitter will change now, especially with all these shareholders and investors. And yeah, I'd like to see where Twitter's going to go. But as I said, there's alternatives to Twitter. There's a platform called Mastodon as well that I have started using, and I'm very happy with it. But again, it's these algorithms that it's like, well, if they don't agree with your content, they just bury you, so no one can see you, and it's very hard to promote your business and promote your work at the same time.
Yeah, you're essentially banned without actually being officially banned. It's so small of them, the reason that they're banning you, that they don't want to tell you to your face. It's called a shadow ban. And they've denied, actually, the existence of this process within their algorithms up until recently when Project Veritas on YouTube, if you look it up, just came out with leaked footage of them admitting it within their own internal emails that they do this practice. And that would contradict what the top lawyer said on the world's largest podcast, which one of the newspapers, actually, one of the major news outlets were banned. Not only shadow banned, but outright banned for tweeting about the Hunter Biden laptop, for example. And the top lawyer of Twitter made that decision and said the laptop was Russian misinformation and does not exist. Now the New York Times, 18 months later, come out and say it's true. And everybody has to accept it. And, everybody that Twitter usually agrees with is saying, no, it's real. It just got entered into congressional record within the United States. So there's no escaping it. It was a huge mistake. And now her new boss, Elon Musk, tweeted to a reporter saying, oh no, this decision to censor the truth was a quote, obvious, big mistake. Something to that. I'm paraphrasing. And so your new boss is basically already weighing in on how terrible of a decision maker you are. You know what I mean? So the writing was on the wall for her. She was actually crying about it in the boardroom meeting. And one has to guess, what kind of leadership is Twitter dealing with to be tanking like this and waiting so long to let Elon Musk bring them out of debt, essentially, with her head.
The thing is, like, Elon Musk could have just gone and created another Twitter alternative. The guy's a billionaire. He could have just competed another form of Twitter that would compete with them, that would be better. He's clearly done that with SpaceX and Tesla as well, funding the space program. He's a very wealthy man.
I totally agree with that, Stefan. And I think that at the same... how do you say it?
Stephen.
Steven. I don't want to get it wrong.
Yeah.
Steven. Okay. This is my second week on the app, so I apologize, brother. Steven, the point I think, and it's not an ancillary point that you're making, but the point I think Elon's trying to make is, well, Trump's doing this already with Truth Social, and perhaps what happened to Parler, which just happened to me, where they just got rid of Parler and everything. And so they kind of disassociated with Parler. Something interesting happened with Facebook and Twitter. The news media began showing tweets and Facebook posts within their, typical apparatus. And what's happening now is news media is stopped. They're not really adopting anybody. Maybe TikTok, but that's it. They're not really doing that. They're not including in the debates and all of this like they do with Twitter and Facebook. And so Elon says, what if I take over one of your behemoth that's already accepted? And again, when these new platforms, people that want to be in echo chambers, they're not going to leave Twitter and go to a new platform. They want to stay in their echo chamber. So by invading the echo chamber, so to speak, and not necessarily banning anybody, but just simply saying, I'm going to be an even-keeled moderator. I'm not going to choose favorites. That is enough to make a lot of people very upset. I think that's telling.
Yeah,
There should be freedom of speech.
it has made me upset. I am someone who supports freedom of speech, but not hate speech or bullying. That's totally unacceptable. Although if you listen to my music, it's just who I am. It's who I write, and I have a right to be heard because I put all that hard work and energy. And it's just like I've just shadow banned. I've experienced it myself, and it sucks.
You know what's interesting? I don't think you or I, who have been shadow banned by these companies, have said any bullying words or hate speech to anybody. Just simply
No.
talking about a laptop that was entered into evidence. I'm banned, but somebody who's shouting someone down, or criticizing a politician with the most vitriol hate you can imagine. They're fine. They have their Twitter. Somebody who is a part of a terrorist organization, Al Qaeda or ISIS, they can keep their Twitter. The leaders of
That's
these
not
people
fair.
who behead and they show violence. Our children
Yeah.
can see them and that on Twitter. That's not a problem. But if you or I want to spread some truth about a simple laptop hard drive, or want to bring justice to criminals, well, the wrong criminals, then we're banned.
Yeah.
That's how it
And
operates right now.
that's the thing. Like Fox News, they've even tried to censor Fox News, Sky News Australia because they're on the right, and they do spread the truth, and they pretty much just want to close them down. Like these tech companies, they have the power they can just like that close you down tomorrow.
Yeah, it seems like they're more than just tech companies. I mean, obviously they have 30 lobbyists for every one congressman, and in a lot of these different countries, they're transnational in nature, and they seem to be able to go to summits with not only just tech but banking industries, health, high-level health officials, and whatnot. And so they move in very in lockstep, and they're very open about this conglomerate movement. They call it the New World Order. And so this is not a left or right issue. It's just whatever party is expedient to the agenda at hand. And so, I think that's something that people could be aware of. And, it's not my typical vein of what I talk about on Wisdom App. I usually say this type of stuff on Clubhouse. But I'm not saying left or right. I don't believe we have to pick a wing of the same bird. I think we need to definitely tap into our own empowerment and stop giving our power away to those who clearly are going to serve their own interests.
Yeah, exactly. And believe in yourself and keep creating amazing work and be an entrepreneur, I think, and make a change. It's what I'd like to see.
This move by Elon it's pretty incredible. He said that he would give them $0 and save Twitter $3 million off the bat as far as the board's salary every year. And that was a troll that he tweeted. He said that, in fact, he was testing their virtue signal positions and said, you know what? There's a homeless population in California because of the leadership there and the people who fund the leadership there. Why don't we turn Twitter headquarters into a homeless shelter? And, virtue signal your way out of that one, right? And he did a poll, and 98% of people on Twitter said, yeah, do it.
We'll do it because, California, San Francisco, has a very bad homeless problem, especially in San Francisco is worse. That's where all the tech giants are for some reason. I don't know why they go to San Francisco.
Oh, they like it there, where these policies are clearly creating bedlam for the average person, and then the mismanagement of the city is so bad that people can't afford to live there. The taxation is run so rampant, the government so overreached in their power that this is what it looks like. And, it's just open that freedom of speech is dead, and the people who are in Silicon Valley believe that and they live that every day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's interesting. We're seeing it too in Australia. Yeah, freedom of speech. People are getting cancelled themselves by news media, and the Australian government's trying to crack down on these tech companies and saying, "Hey, it's just not right."
I want your opinion on Elon in particular because he's, I can't put my finger on where his loyalties lie. It seems like an obvious
Mm,
question at first, but then I remember he does have Neuralink. He does have certain things that have to make me question. His stated reason for Neuralink is, well, if they're using this AI capabilities and they could be weaponized, then the only way to
mm,
stay safe is to create our own. And I wonder, because you have to be critical thinker at this point in time. But
mm.
it seems like on the surface, everything looks good with him. What do you think?
Oh, I think he is good. I think he's trying to change the future of travel. I think Tesla's trying to come up with their own trucks as well, which is pretty cool. Um, SpaceX, I think he's done well with the space. He wants to go to Mars, send astronauts to Mars one day. I really hope he does.
Yeah, I think under the current administration, he had to belay that. He was
Hmm.
set in the previous one for 2024.
Hmm.
And actually 2023. That would be next year. Now he's
Mm,
pushed way back to, I think, 28. And that's
bugger.
unfortunate. I don't know why this current administration doesn't want that type of progress. But
Hmm.
there's a lot of subterfuge and certainly more than meets the eye on the surface happening.
Hmm. Yeah. Well, you got to understand Mars is a long way away. It's going to take a year to get there and 1 year to get back to go all the way there. It's gonna be quite interesting how if they can if SpaceX can pull it off.
Well, with traditional propulsion rockets, assuming you're not using a plasmir engine, and just look that up, VASMIR, and
Mm-hmm.
this Vasmir plasma engine is only meant to be used when you're already in orbit. And
Mm-hmm.
so you can't blast off with it per se, but when you do use it, you wouldn't even need to use a slingshot with traditional
Mm-hmm.
rocket propulsion, around the moon or even the Earth, and then use that momentum to go to Mars when Mars is at a particular time where it's closest to Earth. And at the time, all of that. When you have this type of Vasmir engine, it's much, much faster propulsion. So it's pretty interesting when you're at least near Earth orbit. But I think we have technologies that would surprise a lot of people. We have a space force after all. And is
Mm.
anybody familiar with the type of propulsion Space Force is using? No, it's all classified. And so for us to
Mm-hmm.
speculate without the type of need to know information from the intelligence agencies, meaning unless you know what they know, you cannot actually consider yourself intelligent when it comes to matters
Mm.
happening anthropologically speaking.
Well, there's a lot, especially NASA, kept classified from the American public for years. Actually, about the moon landing. There's a lot of things they don't tell you, especially SpaceX. They're not going to reveal everything they do.
Mhm.
Some
Certainly.
things are kept private. You know.
Well, yes, and I think the evidence of this is SpaceX was caught recently having something in the foreground, something very, very peculiar, almost like a moving cloud in space. It's very odd. And then they immediately cut to a different camera, as if they were trying to hide it. And then it still
Mm-hmm.
appeared much, much further back in the foreground, and you could see it anyway. So, and that was, that's on Secure Team Tenant. Those who want to look it up on YouTube, it was certainly all over the news as well. Something mysterious caught in SpaceX camera. I believe the New York Post had a report on
Mm-hmm.
that. So, if you're interested in that, I mean, what are they trying to hide? And went on the concert with this.
Well, here's a question for you. Is your name Zenzai? Is it? I can see.
Well, now we're
Yeah.
even, eh? It's like
Yeah.
the word sensei, which is teacher
Oh,
in
sensei. Sorry.
Japanese, but with a Z, because I too teach Zen mastery.
Hmm.
That's an awesome practice that I love. So I put it together, and it's Sensei.
Sensei. Yeah. Anyway, the thing is, the UFO debate was going on for years and years. Now, I have not seen any aliens. I don't believe it until I see it in person. Now, could that have been a UFO SpaceX was trying to hide?
Well, the typical vernacular is UFO. The debate has been settled, although many first world nations leading up to the United States doing the Pentagon Papers last year did admit this phenomenon existed. The
Hmm.
military had seemed to turn 180, full 180 on their position, and they've renamed it UAP. And the Pentagon Papers says
Hmm.
specifically 144 instances of UAPs have been not only trilocated through military personnel eyewitness, multiple radar, multiple satellite tracking data,
Hmm.
and all the rest of it, technology, that these things have been spotted and tracked. And certainly they didn't include many things like the Dome of the Rock and other things that the U.S. Witnessed. But the ones that they did were damning. They said that they really couldn't explain it and didn't believe it
Mm.
belonged to any earthly technology. That they were that exotic and
Mm.
far ahead of us. And so, you don't have them going so far as to admit it, but anybody who can synthesize any amount of evidence such as this already knows. And so they've slow walked us to this point, and certainly it would seem from the evidence they presented, had an official policy of lying to us, gaslighting us, and technically coming from a government with that widespread of a
Mm.
lie is it's tantamount to psychological warfare in terms of hiding something
Well,
this big.
the thing is, you gotta like you get Area 51, and I think there was conspiracy theories they were building military aircraft with UFO spare parts that crash landed in Roswell and experimenting on aliens. People have claimed they've been abducted by aliens as well, but it's how do they provide the evidence? You know, if you went to a psychiatrist and said I was abducted by an alien and I had a dream, they think you're crazy.
That was initially the case, and I think it's a great question. And I think until we got 3, 4, 5 million over the year worldwide cases,
Mm.
it was you're crazy. But now I think it's being more and more accepted. It wasn't so
Hmm.
long ago, 10 years ago, where if you said Bilderberg Group or many groups that have proven to be true, this Illuminati type of transnational thing, it was insane, utterly crazy.
Hmm.
And now, if you say New World Order, well, you only have to look at any amount of politicians saying it openly for decades, but you see it
Hmm.
being put into action. This new normal, and sort of this anti-U.S. constitutional outlook on how things should be, and
Mm.
yeah, for whatever reason. It's people's world. It's if they want to be ruled that way or not, or if they want to empower themselves. You can choose your paradigm, and that's the beautiful thing about the universe, in my opinion.
Yeah, the universe there's so much to the universe science can't explain. I am a meditator as well, so I believe in the spiritual world. Um, very into the chakras, and yeah, spirituality. I don't know. Science just can't explain spirituality or the paradigm.
I think at one point that was extremely true, but I think up until recently we're starting to see it with quantum physics. And quantum
Hmm.
physics alludes to things like superposition, where a particular
Hmm.
particle can be in more than one place at the same time. It seems more like magic to us, but it's just
Hmm.
quantum entanglement, and so it's an exotic science that begins to explain what we would normally define as magic, and that's why it has its own
Hmm.
substrata, so to speak, within science in and of itself. When you look at quantum physics and you begin to understand black hole territory, it's an interdimensional
Hmm.
shift of understanding that somehow everything that we base our even genetically our own vision, light,
Hmm.
can somehow be sucked into something. Our whole paradigm, our physical science paradigm is based on light. And this is being sucked in, almost like being flushed down the toilet, so to speak. And black holes are so intimate to our relationship with life that our very existence in the Milky Way galaxy is orbited a supermassive black hole in the section of Sagittarius. And so this is a phenomenon that we cannot hide from, but yet explains magic in its entirety. The amazing nature that you're referencing through black hole territory, 0 point energy fields, where everything coalesces, coagulates as one, getting sucked in to this, meaning the attractiveness, the density, the reverberation of the particles, and whatever is in this black hole is oscillating even faster than the speed of light itself, which is why light's sucked in and you can't see it as an event horizon, because there's no light refracting off your retina from your brain to flip the image for it. And so that's how that operates.
Yeah, the universe is. There's so much to the universe. I remember Stephen Hawking was. I think he was trying to explain about all the universe and the Big Bang. Although Stephen Hawking, he was an atheist. Now, he had some good points about the solar system as well. But I could never relate to Stephen Hawking's work myself.
You know, Hawking was around when quantum physics wasn't taken as seriously as it is now. And when you take, the reason being is because there's so much unexplained. You see, you said it, you hit the nail on the head when you said science in and of itself, traditionally, they just can't explain it. Thus, the advent of quantum physics. And quantum physics is a more flexible, a more oneness paradigm with quantum entanglement, certainly, way of looking at things. And there's just so many things I could say about it. But if you look at a quasar, for example, you have proven something is coming out of a black hole, right? And actually, a quasar, when you look up the definition, is defined as a superluminous gaseous accretional disk. That's a quasar. So this superluminous gaseous accretional disk is coming out of a black hole, and then that slows down its reverberation. That's why it's superluminous. It's operating as a plasma state of matter. And then when it cools down, it turns into Oort clouds, galaxies, solar systems, planets, what have you. And so as that's occurring, consciousness is expressing on every level, including and up until we come around. We've come from a quasar. All the subatomic particles you see spewing into our existence is coming from the unseen. And, I've talked all about that in one of my podcasts on my show. It's the only one I have, but the first one I did. And so if you're interested in that, you can tap into that a little later. But certainly that's what's happening. We owe our existence to the unseen. That's the paradox that we live in, and that's pure consciousness, which is where everything has sprung from. That's black hole territory.
Yeah, it's interesting, the universe, and there's a lot of power in the universe. There's talks of a war in space in the future. That's why these billionaires are funding space programs, because they're all becoming independent. One time it was the government was funding NASA, but I don't think they do that anymore.
Yeah, I think it's interesting because just in the past 2 weeks, you have the government seemingly disclosing that nuclear weapons were floated for going into space. And not only just going into space with nuclear weapons, if that wasn't bizarre enough, including the context we we're given about space, but exploded on the moon. A nuclear attack on the moon. And the stated reason, amongst trying to disclose many other things, including wormhole technology, free energy technology, anti-gravity technology, which is just 0 point energy engines, which would take us to Mars in a matter of minutes. By the way, they just put all that out there and say, yeah, we floated the ideas of nuking the moon in the 70s, and here's the proof. Well, why tell us this? Why come forward with this bizarre theory of nuking the moon if you haven't already? So I would argue, this already has happened. Wars in space already exist, and perhaps even underground, I dare say. And what I would say to that is, what you're seeing right now are these wars bubbling to the surface into our society who's supposed to be totally unaware. And now you're going to see more laissez-faire because of the desperation of the battle, as far as what we're allowed to know.
Yeah. It's I mean, how many times did NASA go to the moon? 13, 17 times or something?
Well, NASA is a front-facing public version of what predated the deceased President JFK, and probably cost him his life. He essentially disclosed what was already an SSP, secret space program, getting out of control corporate version that didn't have to say anything to Congress, was totally unaccountable to the American people. It was getting dark money from the government itself. And so you have that. You have Space Force very similarly being revealed to the American public by a very hated president. I wouldn't have been surprised if he met the same fate as JFK by these organizations. By disclosing there is a military arm that has already been in place, but is now a public-facing version of the military arm that has been in space for quite some time, even as early as the 50s.
Yeah, so much secrets in Congress that they're not telling us as well. So
Well, as
who
you know,
knows? Who knows if this will all come to truth one day? But yeah, there's so much that I'd say all governments are keeping secret from the population.
No, I'd have to agree with you, brother. And, just saying what I've said here, which I hope no one found offensive, it's just purely the truth. I could be shadow banned. I don't know. Because a lot of this truth is very inconvenient to those who have a lot of power. And so with that, I would say, Twitter could turn into a place that doesn't shadow ban people who speak about this, and maybe the next move for everybody. I don't know. Only time will tell, but I certainly hope it is.
That's it. Great to have you on the podcast today. I really want to thank you for jumping on as well.
Absolutely, brother. Thank you for having me. I'll go ahead and drop you a follow. I've seen you around, and I really like your work. So thank you, brother. Namaste.
Thank you. Namaste. Bye. That was an awesome. That was really great to have a chat about. What's going on in shadow banning as well, guys. As well. Yeah, it's just being able to speak up for what you believe in without using hate speech or bullying as well. But yes, it is true we have seen terrorist organisations create accounts on social media and get away with it, which is quite sad, and that is not acceptable. We've seen Russian influencers actually demonetized from YouTube and Instagram and all the social media platforms and it's not their fault. They may not be supporting Putin, and yet it's like, sorry, we're going to demonetize you, shadow ban you. Like I said, I've experienced it myself. It's like, you virtually just do not exist, and it's just, yeah, they deny it. Spotify will do it. All these tech companies are shadow banning people as well. But if there's an alternative to Twitter, by all means, go for it. Like I said before, I'm using a platform called Mastodon as well. If you can get on that, I recommend. I'll leave the links in the show notes when this episode airs. Guys, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the Stephen Shields radio show and turn on notifications whenever you get your podcasts as well. New podcasts are out every Friday at 6 p.m. Sydney, Australia time as well. And if you can subscribe, give a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify. I am now on Amazon Music, which is pretty cool. So trying to get myself on as many places as possible. If you're creating videos, Rumble I found very good. It's definitely helped me. You can sync your Rumble account with your YouTube channel, so it syncs at the same time, and you can monetize straight away, which is pretty cool, and that's what I like. Not having to wait for the 1,000 subscribers and 1,000 hours of watch time. It's, I'm a firm believer in adding value to my work as well, because, I love being a content creator, and I love, doing what I do, especially the podcast on wisdom. Wisdom's been amazing, actually. It's one of my favorite social audio app, actually. So I really like to see a future on wisdom. I'd like to see wisdom grow long term. I'd love to see more updates with wisdom as well. And, let's see where this goes as well, guys. I'd like to wish everyone in the US a good evening and a good afternoon to you in Australia. Good morning to everyone by the time this airs. If you've missed the show on wisdom, it'll be up on the podcast as well, so you can listen to it. Yeah, give me a follow on Webtalk as well. And don't forget, stay true to yourself. Keep creating amazing content. And let's see freedom of speech come back to life. Take care, everyone. Bye for now.